The first Noel, the angels did say, was to certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay, in fields where they lay keeping their sheep, on a cold winter's night that was so deep. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. Hey friends, we've been talking about some of the Christmas carols that we like to sing, and perhaps the First Noel is one of your favorite carols. Now, I have to tell you, it's not probably one of my favorite carols, but it's a very interesting carol, and I love the idea of the first time a Christmas carol was sung, or the first message of Christmas. So, this interesting Christmas carol is about the first Noel. Now, we do not use the word Noel in our typical conversations, do we? Yeah, I very rarely hear any of you say Noel. I very rarely use the word Noel myself, except for when it comes to Christmas. Noel is the French word for Christmas. It comes from the Latin word natalis, meaning birth. So Noel is a word that can refer to both Christmas carols as well as the Christmas season. So we could say that the first Noel is a Noel about Noel. Right. The first Noel is sometimes titled the first Noel, which is a British word. Both the French word Noel and the English word Noel mean nativity or birth and refer to the birth of Jesus Christ on that first Christmas. So, Noel, this word for Christmas, reminds us to stop and sing of the hope we have in Jesus. A joyous Noel, a Merry Christmas. Now, the song itself, the carol, was first published in 1823 and revised in 1833, along with some other changes along the way. I like to think of it as one of the first Christmas carols sung by or shared by the angels, as they came and gave the good news to the shepherds. And that's what I just sang about. The first Noel, the angels did say, was to certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay. So the first message of Christmas, the first Noel, the first Christmas message or carol was given to the shepherds. And they looked up, they saw the star, and they knew they had to go see this King of Israel that was born. Now, the remaining verses of the carol, and there's 3 or 4, we don't always sing all of them, they speak about the wise men who came. And by the light of that same star, 3 wise men came from country far. To seek for a king was their intent, and to follow that star wherever it went. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. And it speaks then of how the star stopped over Bethlehem, and that's where the wise men found where Jesus was. And it went to the house where he was in verse 4. In verse 5 it says, Then entered in those wise men 3, full reverently upon their knee, and offered there in his presence their gold and myrrh and frankincense. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. So I'm wondering, do you remember the first time you heard about Jesus? That'd be tough for some of us, I think, because many of us grew up hearing about Jesus from little on, so it might be hard to identify when the first time was that we heard about Jesus. Maybe our parents sang Jesus Loves Me to me, or maybe it was in Sunday school, but there was a time where the first time we heard about Jesus, that first Noel. And maybe we remember better the first time we realized how much God loved us. I remember the first time I really understood what it meant for Jesus to die for me. I was 8 years old, and I was in a Bible club class, and the teacher was using flannel graph, putting people, those little flannel graph things, if you've ever seen them, little cutouts of people onto a board and telling the story. And I remember she put up this flannel graph photo, or this flannel graph cutout of Jesus on the cross. and she talked about how Jesus died for each one of us. And I realized it the first time that Jesus had died for me. And that's when I said, yes, I want to believe and follow Jesus. So that was my first Noel, I guess. My first understanding of the true meaning of Christmas, the true meaning of God's love for me. So, for you, I want to ask you, can you, as you sing Christmas carols this year, remember that they are all stories of God's love for us? Oh, I hope we can, because then the last verse of the first Noel was this: so then let us all with one accord sing praises to our heavenly Lord, who hath made heaven and earth of naught, and with his blood mankind hath bought. Jesus on the cross. Noel, 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 Noel. Born is the King of Israel. Again, Christmas carols offer to us a reflection of the meaning of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Christ coming to earth to be born as a man, as a human, to live with us, and then to die for us, and to bring us into relationship with God. Oh, no greater Noel can there be, the first Noel, how much God has loved me. Oh, you have a day filled with joy and a day filled with peace.